Coming up with a memorable name that sticks for your digital product shop is overwhelming, to say the least, and it can feel like it's such a permanent decision. In today's video, we're looking at what you should actually name your shop in order to be successful, and a name that will endure through time, no matter how big your shop grows. Hi, welcome. I'm Christina Scalera, and I help you to come up with those amazing digital download product ideas that you can sell passively 24/7, even while you're on a holiday break. And throughout my entrepreneurial career, I've had to come up with a lot of names for different products, shops, so I have a lot of experience in this area. Add that to the fact that I used to do trademarks full time, that was my job. So I know a lot about how to name something well, and in today's video, that's why we're diving into all the different facets and considerations that you might have as you come up with these names. And just to eliminate any overwhelm, the first thing you always want to do if you're naming something is just pick something simple. You can always change the name later. Yes, there might be a little more work that you have to do if you grow a brand, people really know, like, and trust it, and then you change the name. But if you're just getting started, the chances that you're gonna blow up overnight are not great. So you can go ahead and get out there with whatever kind of name it is that just works for now. Originally, the contract shop was called Christina Scalera. It was just christinascalera.com, which is now obviously my coaching and everything related to this YouTube channel. But at the time, back in 2015, when the shop started, you can go back on archive.org and see it was all of that legal and contract template stuff that had to do with what would eventually become the contract shop. And the only way I was able to come up with that name was because I had gotten out there and started selling the products that eventually turned into a more fitting name for those products. If I had just sat on my hands and done nothing, I wouldn't have come up with the name, the contract shop, or had the idea to reach out and try to buy that domain name to make this all possible. It really wasn't that big of a deal to rebrand. Yes, I had gained a lot of clout or status, or however what you want to call it, in the creative industry by the time we rebranded, but it wasn't a huge deal. Like, it just was this kind of fun, exciting event for everybody who had been following us, and then we got to enjoy our new branding and logo and name. It was a really cool time to be in business, just going through that. Just because you have to make a major change in your business at some point, it doesn't mean it's the end of the world. In fact, it could just be a new chapter opening up for you. If you're really not sure what to call your shop, just pick your name. Like I said, mine was christinascalera.com for a long time. It just said my name at the top of the shop, and that's what we went with because that worked. I mean, it didn't really, but it was enough. Like, it was good enough to have something up and running, and it was recognizable for someone to be able to come back to. Another way you can name your shop is by looking at the kind of niche or results that you're getting for your customers. So for example, obviously the contract shop sells contract templates. I had a client who had the SOP shop, which sold ClickUp templates and different SOPs, and SOP just stands for standard operating procedure. So all those nifty little checklists that come in handy as you're running your business and setting up different systems and processes in that business, that's the kind of stuff that she sold in her shop. I have another client who has the email template shop. So you can tell exactly from that name what her niche is and what she's able to help you with. In hindsight, this actually isn't my favorite kind of name, but again, we're going with what works and what's available. So if you can find something, a domain name or just a name in general that you like, that talks to the impact or effect that you're able to reach with your customers through your templates and whatever other products you're selling in your shop, that can be really, really nifty. And by the way, if you are having trouble naming your shop, the number one way that you can overcome this is just by hitting the like button and maybe even a subscribe. So if you haven't done that already, it greatly improves the chances that this video will be seen by more people, which really helps me out. All right, number 3 is all about the aspirational aspect of your business. So what are you actually helping your clients or customers achieve through your expertise and your knowledge base? For example, Aisha Shabazz, who's a client of mine, has the Thriving Therapist shop. How brilliant is that? So she helps therapists to thrive through their work, not just get constantly burned out by all the admin and all the other tasks they have to do that they didn't really sign up for when they decided to become a therapist. So she takes that off their plate with her templates and the products in her shop. Therefore, the exact right audience, aka anyone who doesn't want to be burned out as a therapist, is really going to resonate with the name of her shop and investigate further, shop around, buy some products, and that's the whole point of naming your shop well. So well done, Aisha. idea. The fourth step is to make sure that your name is even available, because even if you pick something that's amazing and someone already has the domain or the trademark for that name, it's not going to help you very much because you could get shut down, you could be asked to rebrand or forced to rebrand, or you might just not get the domain you were hoping for, and it might be harder to send people to your shop. The best way to see if your name is available as you're compiling a shorter and shorter list of what you like is to go to a domain registrar like Namecheap. I like Namecheap a lot because they don't index your searches. I've heard that GoDaddy does. So like if you search something a lot, they're going to see it and they're going to take it and try to sell it back to you for a higher price. Namecheap doesn't do that. That's who I've been using for years. So I'm not sponsored by them, but I do use them personally and I like them a lot. I also like that Namecheap gives me alternative TLDs, aka top level domains. So those are the domains that don't end in .com. That's the normal domain ending that we're all used to. But because domain names are so hard to get with .com, there's other TLDs that are available like .ai, .life, .coach, .learning. So you can find the domain that works for you, and instead of having a .com, you could have a .learning or whatever top level domain you want to have. Now, just because someone's using a domain name or they've registered it doesn't mean that you can't use that name. You could still use that name with a different domain potentially, as long as you do a little bit of a trademark clearance search. So unless you're working with an attorney, you're probably not going to nail this perfectly, but you can go to uspto.gov, which is the United States Patent Trademark Office website. That's their official search and database. So you can go there, search trademarks, and then you can look up your word or phrase to see if anyone's using that. And if you do find something that's really concerning, you can either change course early on and pick a different name, or hire an attorney to figure out how to best go about getting the name that you want registered to the database as well. All right, so number 5, if a name is showing up and it's like for the exact same class of goods and description as yours, and I mean, these are pretty broad. Like a lot of people will come to me and they're like, well, I'm a life coach, but it says that they're registered for like health coaching, so we're different. And I'm like, no, not from a trademark perspective. So if something is popping up and you're forced to change your name, or your shortlist is getting shorter because some of the names are showing up in that uspto.gov database, then no worries. Now is the time for you to get creative and really let those creative juices flow so that you can brainstorm up a name. So coming up with a name that's a combination of words, or even better, a word that doesn't even exist in the English language, those are always going to be the strongest names. So obviously a descriptive name like the contract shop is not always the best name to go with, even though that's like your knee-jerk reaction. A better name would be something like Kosho, like the contract shop, like shortened down. And of course, that example I just made up on the spot, and I don't know if it's available, so you'd have to go through the previous steps just to make sure that the domain, the trademark, that kind of stuff is still available, no matter how creative you get. And then finally, if you have no idea what to name your shop, you're still stuck, you don't want to go with your name, you haven't thought of anything clever, everything you keep running into is not quite what you're looking for, and all the songs on your playlist haven't given you any inspiration from any unique song titles or phrases, the nail colors in your cabinet, you haven't, read enough of the bottoms of the nail bottles to like figure out what to name your shop. These are all places I go for inspiration, by the way. But if that is just not happening for you and you're still having trouble figuring out what to call it, one thing that I have done successfully in the past is crowdsourced it. This could be as simple as asking for some entries on a Instagram story, or it could be a little bit more complicated with prizes involved and maybe a type form or a Google form or something that they fill out, and they're all competing to win the contest of who gets to name your shop. So that could be a really cool list builder on top of an actual effective way to creatively name your shop. I know this is a complicated topic and it can get overwhelming really quickly, so I would love to know what other questions came up for you as you were watching today's video that I can dive into a little bit more deeply, maybe do a tutorial on at some point. Just let me know. And if you already know what you're calling your shop and you're ready to get started, then make sure you watch the next video that just popped up on your screen, because that is going to teach you how you can actually start earning money through your digital download products that are sold in your shop. And I will see you soon in the next video. Take care.